The paella you know never existed. Seafood paella, a coastal invention, added centuries later. The original had rabbit, snails and green beans. Cooked in a field by men with dirty hands and an open fire. That dish became a national symbol, a political weapon, and the most argued over recipe in Europe. So how did a muddy field lunch become one of the most famous dishes in the world? Spain, East Coast. A flat, wet region called Valencia, where Romans first planted rice and where the Moors turned swamps into the most productive farmland in Europe. Valencia sits next to a giant coastal lake. For centuries, rice wasn't just food here. It was currency, it was survival, it was identity. The fire wasn't just for cooking, it was how families gathered. Paella was never just a recipe, it was a ritual. But if it started as a humble field meal, why did an entire country fight over who owns it? The story begins not with a chef, but with a worker. For hundreds of years, the farmers of Valencia worked the rice fields around Lake Albufera, a shallow silver lake just south of the city, fed by mountain rivers and separated from the Mediterranean by nothing more than a narrow strip of land. The lake was their livelihood. The fields around it were their world. At midday, they cooked on open fire using whatever they could catch: rabbit, duck, snails, green beans. They used one wide, shallow pan because it cooked fast and fed many. No ceremony, no recipe written down, just fire, water, rice, and whatever the land gave them that morning. That pan became the dish, and the dish took its name from the pan. Paella, from the Latin word patella, meaning flat vessel. The farmers had no access to the coast, no seafood, no saffron, and no interest in either. Seafood paella was invented later, by coastal cooks adapting the recipe to what they had. The farmers of Valencia will still argue about this today, loudly. For centuries, paella was cooked outdoors, over wood fire, by men. Not because women didn't cook, they did everything else, every day. But because open fire cooking was considered communal labor. A social act. Neighbors gathered. Conversations stretched long. The cooking was part of the meal. Paella was the one dish man claimed, and Sunday was the day they made it. By the 1800s, the dish had moved from fields into towns. Workers brought it into the city. Recipes diverged. Ingredients changed by province, by coastline, by family. Each version was considered authentic by the people who made it and wrong by everyone else. Then came the 20th century and Spain's brutal civil war. Franco, the dictator who ruled Spain for nearly 40 years, promoted regional dishes as symbols of Spanish unity. Paella, already beloved, became a national icon, used politically, promoted internationally, printed on tourist posters. It worked almost too well. By the 1960s, with mass tourism exploding on Spain's coast, cheap imitations flooded every beachside restaurant. Valencians were horrified. They still are. Because the rule of real paella is almost mathematical. The rice must be no deeper than 1/3 of an inch in the pan. One single thin layer. That's how it gets the Socarrat. The toasted crust at the bottom that every Valencian considers the best bite of the meal. Get the depth wrong and you haven't made paella. You've made something else. Spain has been pushing to have traditional Valencian paella recognized by international cultural heritage bodies. The debate over what counts as real paella continues to ignite arguments in homes, restaurants, and across the internet every single week. One pan, one fire, 1,000 years of argument. Follow the history, not just the recipe. More dishes are waiting.